episode of the Rebel Radio podcast, and we are rejoined after a year hiatus, at least for this week. The great Zen master, the Buddha voodoo monk himself, Long.
Yo.
Welcome back, homie.
I'm back for this special episode.
I'm not sure what's special about it, but, we're here at least.
It's special, man. There's a lot of special things about this episode.
For a mediocre movie.
A random episode in mid-September is special.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's always special when we get to hang out and talk some film and some TV shows and what's going on. What's been going on with you, Long?
Oh, lots of things. Just trying to enjoy the rest of my vacation. Now I'm in my second half of it now, and last third of it now, and trying not to think about the inevitable. And but other than that, I mean, I still look forward to working again because it's not
play
as
the lottery
bad as
tomorrow night and maybe get lucky and the inevitable doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can just I have a rope ready in case I want to tie a noose around some ceiling somewhere. But I'll do it at work though. Just
children listening, don't pay attention to Long over there. Sometimes he has his grumpy old man moments.
The dark humor. The dark humor over there.
Yeah. But other than that, life is good. Came back from North Carolina, took some photos at the USS North Carolina Museum, which is a fantastic museum. I have to say, it's probably the largest battleship I've visited so far. As far as ship museum. Oh,
that's cool. I saw some of those pictures. They look pretty neat.
Yeah.
Man.
The USS Texas was 570 feet long. The Alabama is like 721 feet long. So it's about a good
it's like
dozen yards longer.
Yeah, man, almost 50% more.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? I've just been chilling like a villain.
Most importantly, did you miss us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Whatever you say.
You know what? Fuck you too.
Got to hang out with you guys for bowling.
Yeah, we hung out a couple
times, but
and
still.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna try to get together when the weather is good in October or something, and do a little cookout or something.
How about that drought, huh? Finally, this week.
Well, I got a little bit.
But
got a cup of water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about a cup's worth, if that.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you do?
We're in the mid 90s now instead of the low hundreds, which is nice.
I know it actually feels cool outside.
Today wasn't too bad,
comparatively speaking. Yeah.
You go from your balls completely sweating to just sweating a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, basically. But man, no, we're glad you decided to join us, and you might have been on last week's episode, but you had a power outage, or so you claim. I mean, it's okay, man. If you need
I'm sticking to that story.
That's right.
I'm sticking to that story, or I was probably surfing porn and forgot about
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, there was an outage of something, maybe an image.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently, I was given this knowledge this week that the economy, as everyone knows, not getting into politics, is in the shitter right now with the inflation and everything. And that it's so bad that even strip clubs are just not hiring and cutting back hours. So the economy
it's bad.
It's affecting the sex industry.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're hot, but we're not hiring you because there's no hours for you and there's no guys giving you tips. We can't even sell beers, let alone tits. Yeah.
Damn. Yep, it's a luxury.
That's what we're here for. Full of useless information on the Rebel Radio podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. You come here, you find out all kinds of shit. water cooler stuff. Yeah.
That's
All
it.
right.
And then when you go to work tomorrow after you hear this episode, you can tell your friends, like, hey, did you know the strip clubs aren't even hiring right now? Because the economy sucks.
Yeah.
Strippers are struggling, man.
Enough of this banal talk. Let's talk about this week's episode of Ahsoka.
Well, we will get to that in just a moment.
Why? For what?
Whoa. Patience, my Padawan.
That's right.
Don't call me a Padawan. Don't call me a Padawan.
We talk about things we watched this week, and we do Ahsoka at the end of that segment. That way we don't blow our wad, so to speak, at the beginning of it. That's why. You make people wait for the good stuff long. You don't give them the cum shot right away, okay?
Only people listening to this is Frank and your mom.
No. My mom has never listened to an episode of the podcast.
Well, yeah,
man. My nephew has listened to a few episodes, and if he's listening to this one, just ignore everything your Uncle Mark says.
Yes, just fast forward the first 10 minutes.
So we will get to Ahsoka in just a moment. But Long, what are some things have been on the show in a year? What are some things you've watched recently or in the last few months that you've really enjoyed?
Flash was good. Guardians of the Galaxy was good. Looking forward to Mortal Kombat 1 coming out in the next few days. Been looking forward to that. What else have I? But right now, as far as my best current movie, I definitely have to give it to Everything Everywhere All at Once still. Even though I saw it way earlier in the year, I still like the movie. Saw it for a second time in the other few days, and man, you catch more details on the second viewing, and then it kind of hits a little harder the second time around, which is kind of interesting. Even though, what else? You put me on the spot, man. I'll think of something when we talk more later.
Like you did not expect this?
Huh?
You didn't expect this?
Nah.
You still haven't seen Indiana Jones, have you?
No, I haven't.
Ah.
But it's out on digital. I'll probably just rent it digitally and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, or wait on Disney Plus for it to come out.
Right.
I did see, you know how a few years ago they released Shin Godzilla?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then last year they released Shin Ultraman. And Hideaki Anno, he was the director of Shin Godzilla, and his collaborator, they wanted to do a trilogy of all of the classic Japanese sci-fi shows and movies. And I saw Shin Kamen Rider on Amazon Prime, and it is pretty darn good. It's basically about a Japanese superhero who rides a motorcycle, but he has like superpowers and stuff, and it pretty good martial arts and stuff too. In it, not like Hong Kong level of martial arts, but it's pretty over the top. And all the fight scenes, it gets pretty gory. But it's on Amazon Prime. But check it out. It's called New Kamen Rider or Kamen Rider.
Okay.
It's subtitled, but it's directed by Anno himself. So it cuts to the chase pretty quickly. But I highly recommend it. If you're not familiar with, Japanese superhero shows like Power Rangers, or this is like basically a franchise that kind of precedes it by a couple of years. It's one of the early franchises, but yeah, give it a try. It's subtitled, or it might be dubbed. I'm not sure. But yeah, I highly recommend that. That's a very good Japanese science fiction show. What else have I seen? Yeah, I'm sure it'll jog my memory once we start talking about stuff.
You almost came on last week's episode, and I told Matt I didn't do it on purpose. I just happened to watch Godzilla 2000, the TriStar Toho co-produced reboot. And I won't go too much into it because I talked about it last week, but it was pretty good. Like, it's action packed, a lot of action in it, a lot of like really for a Japanese, because it's mostly a Japanese production, even though TriStar helped finance it. It's a lot of like some of the better cinematography, and so like just some really good shots I thought in it for a Godzilla film. And some weird. It's so weird because they still use a man in the suit, but then they use CGI for the alien probe thing, so it clashes. So it's kind of like a bit odd to have the CGI mixed with the man on the suit,
and
I'm like,
missiles.
and I'm like, that looks really weird. It's like but for $19.99 or whatever. But it was $5 on Vudu, and Wyatt wanted to watch it, so we bought it and watched it. And,
y'all get to see the actual minute-and-a-half trailer of the new Japanese Godzilla movie, right? That I sent on the text group. That one looks pretty cool. Looks intense.
Yeah. No, we talked about that last week too. But it definitely looks intense.
Yeah,
looks like they definitely upped the ante to keep up with what's going on with the American films as far as heavy action and CGI and intensity. That's a good word for it. But no, it looks very cool, and it's cool that it's going to have a American theatrical release December 1st, and I'm hoping they have. Sometimes when they do these releases, like they do with the animes, they do have English versions because that way I can take Wyatt. He reads very well for 8 years old, but it'd be a lot easier for him not to have to read the whole movie, if possible. So, and so we'll see when that comes out. But I really didn't watch much this week and give you a hard time about waiting on Ahsoka, but that's about really all I've really watched. I've had kind of a busy week. We started baseball and things like that. So, Matt, did you watch anything besides Ahsoka this week?
Yeah. I tried to watch Asteroid City.
Oh, yeah.
I know we talked about this, and man, it's just weird. It's like there's a movie, and then there's like the actors that are filming the movie are like filming their like behind the scenes stuff and like talking about their roles behind the scenes. And then it goes into the movie. And then like Bryan Cranston's this announcer guy, and he's like, what you're about to see is a scene playing out here. And this is the setting. And then Edward Norton's character is like talking to Tom Hanks, and he's like, yeah, so for this role, I think I'm going to play it like this. And then it goes to the actual movie, like you're watching what you would normally watch on film. And it's like, but it's like they're actors playing an actor playing in a movie. And it's, the film is supposed to be about how to cope with like death and loss, because like Scarlett Johansson's character, she lost her husband, and the male lead that I can't remember his name, he lost his wife. But it's like you've got all, it was a weird, pretense, and it's not a movie that I would normally watch just off of its cover, really, its trailer and its marketing. But I was looking at the cast, and you've got Cranston, you've got Steve Carell, you've got Edward Norton, and I felt like, there's a lot of people in this film. And
shit, Woody Allen always has a bunch of people in his movies, and his movies suck.
That's true. I felt like the talent was stacked, and gave it a shot. I just couldn't get into it. I maybe watched half of it, and I was just like, that's enough for me. And then I saw that Fast X was on Paramount, or not Paramount, Peacock, and I was like, hey, it's free. I'm gonna go watch Aquaman be a bad guy. And he's like weird, man. He's got like his hair in like multiple ponytails, and he's in a robe, and he's like painting his nails.
Yeah, that's a fast movie, all right.
Yeah. And it's very much a fast movie. It's it piggybacks off of Fast 5. So, lately it's like the last 3 films, all the bad guys are like, oh, I was in the back. That's the whole thing. Like, oh yeah, I wasn't here for all the other films, but I was in the
Slow it
background.
down and recap.
Yeah.
And
I was actually there the whole time.
continuity makes no sense, but it's all about family, so it's okay.
Exactly. And then John Cena's character dies in the film. I'll just say that.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares. But I was like, oh, he must have some more Peacemaker stuff to do. But it was cool. I'll spoil it because it's been out. So Gal Gadot shows up at the end. Didn't she die on the runway in like Fast 6 or Fast 7?
I never watched them.
Yeah, Fast 8, yeah. So she shows up all of a sudden, and I'm like, man, maybe she's not doing Wonder Woman anymore, because now I know there's going to be a Fast 11, because the way they ended it, there's going to be a Fast 11. And I'm like, is she not doing Wonder Woman anymore? Because now she's back in Fast and the Furious? So, I wonder.
I didn't tell you. I've never seen any of the Fast movies.
Not even the first one?
No. It wasn't that bored.
Wow.
I was never bored enough to see it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you're really not missing anything.
Yeah.
It was a product of its time. I'll say that. Other than that, I did watch some more Babylon 5. I am more than halfway through season 2. And I sent y'all a screenshot of the last episode I watched. And there's this alien that they're trying to do some kind of come up with an agreement, make a business deal with, and he's like, "Oh, great! Now we must settle things in the way my culture does. We must have sex." And he's this old ass wrinkly alien. Yeah. And he's like, "It is the custom of my people." And she's like, "Well, I've got other shit to do. We'll catch up on this sometime else."
So how is it so far? Are you getting more into it? Or?
It's definitely well written. The storyline, the stories are good. Mm-hmm. And then there's definitely like a lot of social stuff in there. It's like you see the way the aliens interact, and it's like, oh, your people killed my people, and that those kinds of interactions. So it's interesting. They used a lot of inspiration from different stuff going on in the world. And
J. Michael Straczynski took a lot of his writing is from what he saw in his childhood during the civil rights movements, things like that. And he felt like in the future, his beliefs are the world's not going to change, that we're still going to be racially divided at times, politically divided. And it's just like, that's how he believed he saw the future, I've read some things where he talked about it, and he said it's not a knock on humanity or anything like that, because he wants humanity to do the best they can. It's just at the time he was writing Babylon 5, that's how he saw the future, that things are just going to repeat themselves and things wouldn't change even with all these alien races out there. And but his writing is so good that he does it in a way that it's
Any favorite characters so far that you've grown to like?
I like Sheridan.
Mm-hmm.
I like Sheridan, man. And I like Garibaldi.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
those are probably my the alcoholic cop.
Yeah.
I told him long though. By the time it's said and done, he will find Londo and Jakar will probably end up being his favorite characters.
I do like Londo because he's such like a skis.
As despicable as they are, their conflict with each other ends up being so important to the storyline.
Yeah. How about Londo, Jakar, and at this point, Delenn is out of her cocoon, right?
Yes, and she is like almost all the way looking human. She's getting scrutinized by other humans on the ship
and by her own
trying to pass as human. Yeah,
and by her own people.
Mm.
But that will play a role later on. Okay, so, but yeah, man, I get a little salty when it comes to Babylon 5, how good it looks, and fucking Paramount won't open up their pocketbook to at least do an AI upscaling for Deep Space Nine.
Warner Brothers? Oh,
no, it's
Paramount.
Deep
Space Nine.
Yeah. Warner Brothers is for Babylon 5.
Yeah. Well, I think it costs them so much to do the cleanup on Next Generation. They were like, this costs us too much money. Because the problem with the Next Generation cleanup is it looks great.
Well,
if you watch it, it looks really nice. But they did it at a time when Blu-ray sales were transitioning to streaming. So it was bad timing. So they didn't make any money because they weren't able to sell copies of it. And so that's kind of what happened with the Next Generation thing.
No, but what I was saying is that the AI upscaling is nowhere as expensive as how Paramount did, which is a full grab each film and rescan everything, and then hire someone to scale up the special effects.
Right.
So, but
I wonder how it depends on. Sometimes it depends on how it's shot too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Straczynski has talked about that, like how they shot the show. The special effects were done in 16:9, but the show wasn't. So that's why the remaster they had to go in and fix parts of it. So I don't know. A lot depends on how it was shot too. But yeah, but Paramount's happy making new shows now, Star Trek, and I've been watching Strange New Worlds a little bit at a time, and it's pretty good.
Yeah,
and
Lower Decks is hit and miss at times, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
other than that, it was just Ahsoka.
Oh man, Ahsoka is episode 5 this past week, directed by Dave Filoni, and had theatrical showings in some cities. So this was a big one, and to get Long caught to speed, I know Long, we've kind of texted back and forth, and so far you're really enjoying Rebel season 5 as well, and but this episode this week was episode 4 was great. It was one of the better Star Wars episodes ever. The lightsaber fights, everything was spectacular. And just when you think the ante can't get up to any, we get episode 5, and it's like, despite some minor CGI quips with it, with the de-aging process and everything, overall, the episode tells such an awesome story and gives us such awesome visuals that we never thought we would see on live action. It makes up for the CGI issues. But what an episode!
Yeah, it was. It was spiritually, emotionally satisfying.
Yeah, visually,
the Siege of Mandalore, man.
Yeah, and just to see live action Clone Wars, getting to see Rex on screen. How visually cool was the shot of Anakin walking through the storm of bullets and laser fire and flashing from him back and forth to Darth Vader, just reminding you of who this guy becomes, or who he was.
Freaking cool.
Just brilliant,
It's pretty wizard.
Yeah. Hayden, people keep talking about, he's redeemed himself. I never felt like that way with him. I always felt with the prequels, he wasn't the best actor. He was given some pretty wooden dialogue to deal with, and I think he did okay. And now he's given a chance to play this character again, and he's owning it. He did really well in the Obi-Wan series, and I think his appearance this past week was fantastic as well. His main, you could tell he watched Clone Wars because he really had the mannerisms of the animated version down pat, and just the voice work,
Snips.
The way he talks to it. Yeah,
how cool is that? Snips.
After watching Clone Wars, to get to hear him call him Snips. Or her Snips, and that was awesome. Just a lot of callbacks to the Clone Wars series, and I said last week that I love the fact that Dave Filoni is making this show for the absolute hardcore fans that spent their time watching Clone Wars and Rebels, and he doesn't care if he's alienating people that haven't watched all that stuff. He's just like, I'm doing this for the fans.
Yeah, and if you want to know what's going on, you better go back and watch it.
Yeah, and the fans will advertise it.
Absolutely. And what's cool is, there's us who are hardcore. We've watched almost everything they put out. But there's always been kind of a disconnect unintentionally between the animated stuff and the live action stuff, because you'll talk to fans like, I've seen all the movies. And then you tell them about something that happened in Clone Wars or Rebels. They're like, I didn't watch that as cartoons. So I think it was nice to finally get a true connection between the cartoons and the live action, which Ahsoka already started with being that's a sequel to Rebels, but adding the Clone Wars into it, it was perfect. It helped with that disconnect, I think, quite a bit to tie things together rather nicely.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, how did y'all feel about that whole sequence in the realm between worlds? Like, what did y'all take out of it? Like, as far as the symbolism, the meaning?
I felt that, here's what I felt, is that Anakin at this point, that Anakin's living, right. I feel like Anakin he's living, he's in the world between worlds because at this point he's dead. But knows that Darth Vader is still in him. You could see it, but also Anakin's in him. So to me, it was a play that he's still both people, but he knows how to control it now because of death and finding the Force, and becoming one with the Force.
Yeah.
And I think his testing of Ahsoka was important to help her character grow, to know what she has to do to save Ezra. And I think that's what I got out of it, was that this is a new version of Anakin we've never seen before. Darth Vader's still there, but he knows how to control the dark and the light.
And he's still got those sweet ass lightsaber moves, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's symbolism.
But the way I see it is, and I've listened to some opinions and stuff, and I kind of gathered it, my own thoughts on it. Like, I can see the reason why they went through the Clone Wars period and through, you see the certain periods in her life. And it's kind of like that old saying, her life was kind of flashing before her eyes before, in death. And she was definitely in limbo. Mm-hmm. And as far as, throughout the whole first half of the show, we were just trying to wonder, okay, why is Ahsoka not fully embraced Sabine as an apprentice, or why is she so hesitant? And Ahsoka, of course, before that whole dream sequence, y'all noticed that she was wearing gray the whole time,
right?
So, and there was a very important dialogue in that flashback scene, which gave a lot of revelation to why she was so kind of in that gray mode. And that's because she was raised as a soldier, practically as a Padawan, and ever since the Clone Wars, that's all she knew, was how she was a fighter throughout the whole time, but she never really knew what it was like to be training under peacetime, in an official capacity. And so, and when she told Anakin that, when Anakin says that to her, that she was going to carry on the legacy and his legacy, the legacy of the Jedi and his legacy with all of his teachings and everything that he knew, she turned to him and said, we are more than who we are, but you ended up becoming more powerful and more dangerous. And she was kind of, basically confessing that she was afraid of turning into, like Anakin, ending up like Anakin did. That's why she didn't really fully embrace teaching Sabine, because she was afraid of, going that far in a way. So, but yeah, and of course, Anakin says, "Live or die."
Yeah.
So, and she can be afraid and die, and because it's like that part of the thing. Fear leads to anger, right?
Yeah.
So, and she was,
or the tunnel. Only what you take with you.
Yeah.
If that's what you take with you, then that's what you'll turn into. Just like Luke's training with Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's such a multi-layered meaning to it too. I mean, if you look past the fan service stuff, I mean, there's just so many issues. And then she came out to be, of course, Ahsoka the White, but there's another fun theory too, where, Anakin has lived through the light side and he's fully lived in the dark side. And there was a callback to an episode that Dave Filoni wrote on Mortis about the son, the daughter, and the chosen one. Way back in the Clone Wars episode, where the chosen one told Anakin that, hey, you're prophesied to be my successor, who to be the father of the Force.
Yeah.
And y'all remember that episode?
Yeah, no,
that was the one where they were on.
I read that theory too.
Yeah,
with the gods, the ones with the gods. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and when Ahsoka died, the daughter resurrected her using her Force energy, and that owl was such a big deal because that owl's been following Ahsoka even in live action. You kind of see hints of the owl close by in Mando season 2. So there's a theory that Anakin at this point is probably taken on the role of the father, the chosen one, the one who is the balance of the Force, and Ahsoka's pretty much getting her seat warm. She doesn't know it, as the new daughter of the Force. So who's going to be the son? Some people say it might be Ezra, but who knows? It could be some other new character we may not know of.
That's interesting. There were a lot of people that said that if the episode missed an opportunity to show the other parts of the Siege of Mandalore where Darth Maul appears at the end of the Clone Wars episodes. But there were rumors believed it because apparently Sam Witwer has been on casting lists for Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he does a lot of voice work for Lucasfilm. Like, he's been voicing Darth Maul for years. He could be voicing Alien in the background. We just don't know it. And so I had people believing that Maul was going to appear, and they were like surprised he didn't appear in this episode. But we still have 3 episodes to go. There could still be a point where Maul makes an appearance. And that doesn't mean Sam Witwer's playing him. We just don't know. But I didn't think that it was a missed opportunity, the episode. Like, I think the episode had just enough fan service and told a very important story.
Enough mystery still.
Yeah. and
enough questions.
It was beautifully done, beautifully shot. It felt cinematic. But I do wonder how they're going to wrap this up in 3 episodes. It just seems like there's a lot of story left to tell.
Yeah. I feel like
maybe they won't wrap it up.
Yeah. I think that maybe Anakin is in control of the realm between worlds.
Right.
If he has taken up that god role, that Force god role. So.
And as far as the CGI goes, I mean, it's television. I thought it looked pretty good. I think my biggest issue was with it that, like, they CGI'd Hayden's head. Actually, I thought his face looked good, but his head was small. Did you notice his body looked big? I was just like, it was a little distracting in the Clone Wars scenes. I'm like, why did they make his head so tiny? That's really the only thing I noticed about it. I thought the face looked good. I thought the CGI was good, but he did kind of have a tiny head. It's like, I don't know why they did that. Like, broad shoulders and a tiny head. I'm like, why is his head so small? But I don't know. Maybe it's just the way the CGI worked out. But it was fine,
Maybe so.
I mean, it's television. I mean, I know Lucasfilm is spending plenty of money to make these shows top notch and cinematic, but not everything's going to be absolutely perfect when you're dealing with television. People are spoiled. They need to get over it. But overall, I thought it was fine. And it was cool to see a young Ahsoka in live action. That was really neat. That was definitely a surprise I didn't expect to see.
Mm-hmm.
Get to see her when she was young and learning and surprised and just her thoughts on the clones dying.
Gamora in Infinity War. Yeah,
that was cool. See an actor get another key part.
Yeah, and she's in the biggest movie of the year, Barbie. So she's doing pretty well for herself.
Mm-hmm.
But so we'll see where this goes when Ahsoka continues on a Tuesday night with episode 6. Sad Panda, there's only 3 episodes left. But
man, it's coming to an end.
Yeah. Let's do a little bit of news before we get to today's feature film. We finally got a trailer for Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, and man, Matt, you texted saying, man, I don't know, it doesn't look as bad as rumors said it was. I thought the exact opposite. I thought, like, why is he hanging up his clothes? What does he need to wash his uniform for? I thought it looked it looked okay, but I could see they said there's a lot of comedy and stupid stuff in it. That's what the test screening said, and it looked like it from the trailer. It looked kind of like just some like there might be some stupid shit in this movie.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, I had fun in the last movie.
I did too.
So,
but I'm also kind of like
it's awkward.
I can't help but feel a little disconnected from the DCU now, knowing there's a reboot. Like I enjoyed The Flash, and it was all about seeing Michael Keaton back as Batman for me, but it's hard to care with the reboot coming, you know?
Yeah.
And so we'll see.
Well, that reminds me before I mention it. So my brother finally watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what he scored that movie out of 1 out of 10?
Huh.
He scored it.
Really?
He scored it 4 out of 10.
No, 4?
4 out of 10. And it's
put your brother up for adoption.
I know. And I'm like, what? Man. I told him, this is the second time I've watched it, but it actually brought a tear to my eye. Even
maybe
worse.
It's a lot to take in. Maybe he just maybe his emotional state at that time wasn't there to take in all the meaning of it, and he didn't realize what he was watching.
Yeah,
but
he scored it low because of what you said, sensory overload.
Yeah. It is a lot to take in. I think it's a movie I've enjoyed more. I think I've seen it 3, maybe 4 times now, and it's definitely better with each viewing.
Yeah,
because it is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, put your brother up for adoption.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, and my roommate, he rated it at 7 out of 10, you know, and I rated it at 9 out of 10, you know, and the only reason why I deducted 1 point is, the sensory overload. But that wasn't to the point where, you know, it would detracted the message for me personally. So, but anyways, moving on.
So, it's interesting. You know, the news lately has been a little slow with the strikes and everything, but there is some interesting, a lot of comic book news coming out. And an interesting move, Bill Willingham, the creator of Fables and The Wolf Among Us, you know, is wanting his royalties from his comics from DC and some other issues. And DC's kind of saying no, but he's like, I can't afford to sue DC. So you know what? I'm going to drop my created stuff onto the public domain. Which is exactly what he did this week. Basically, a big F to DC. You know what? You're not going to pay me what you might want for my characters. I created this stuff. I'm giving it out to the world. This is bigger than people think it is. In an industry which people are fighting to make money, as comics go digital more, and people are not spending as much money on frivolous things like comic books. You can see more creators do this. You know what? I'm going to give it out to the people. Get it out there. You know. So I thought that was really interesting, and I've read some of the Fables books, and they're really good. You know, he's a really good writer, really interesting stories, and so kind of a big industry thing in the comic book industry. We'll see where this goes. We create our own products, and there's always been an issue with DC and Marvel and those companies not always taking care of the privately owned creators that they hire. You know, and it's not the first time it's happened. You know, Neil Gaiman fought with DC for years on Sandman rights and things like that. So we've seen it happen before. If you want to see a colored version of Werewolf by Night, the Halloween special from Marvel last year, you're going to get to do that. It'll be out. I think it's like the week before Halloween. It'll be out on Disney Plus.
Okay.
But I thought black and white was what made it cool. You know.
It makes it noir.
Yeah. So might watch the colored version, but I kind of really enjoyed that and enjoyed the Guardians holiday special. I wouldn't mind seeing Marvel and Disney do some more of those. Those little.
I really like the Guardians holiday special. Yeah. That was funny.
Do those little 45-minute mini movies. They're kind of fun. Did you watch that long when it came out last year?
No, I didn't get to see it.
Werewolf by Night. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So the Lando Calrissian Disney Plus TV series is now apparently a movie. Mm-hmm. As Glover said, that they are writing it right now, and it's turning into a film. We love Star Wars. We just got through talking about Ahsoka. But do we really want to see a Lando movie where he gets Bespin?
Yes.
And how do you do it without Han, though? Because there's no indication that him and Han didn't see each other until Empire Strikes Back.
Hey, man.
We just assumed they hadn't seen each other in a long time.
Don't count out Childish Gambino, man. Don't yeah. I hope get it.
Like, why not just make Solo 2 and have Lando in it? You know,
Maybe this
make
is
it a buddy
too.
make it a buddy cop movie. You know,
Yeah, I think it would work pretty well that way, like Lethal Weapon style.
yeah.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
I mean, it's Star Wars, so I'll watch it.
I don't think
No word is when it's gonna come out or anything. They're just writing it. These strikes are going on. You know, D23 quietly went by this weekend with no announcements because of the strikes. It was very weird. And a lot of people were surprised they even had D23. It's like, why have it when you can't even announce anything? So, but it is what it is. Lastly, I saved this one for the last bit of news because Long is on the show today. This trailer came out the day after we recorded last week. And I almost forgot about it. And that's the trailer for the Apple Plus TV series for Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Good
Kurt
old
Russell
Jack Burton's in it.
Yeah, Kurt Russell and his son playing the same character 50 years apart.
Nice.
I think my biggest thing with this is watching the trailer is that Apple's spending money. It looks good. It looks cinematic. It looks good. The CGI looks awesome. It looks like it's going to have a bunch of monsters in it. And now, will the story be great around it? We'll see. But at least it looks like Apple and Warner Brothers, which is strange that Warner Brothers currently has the rights of Godzilla that's not on HBO Max. I'm not sure how that happened, but okay, it did. But if you believe the rumors that Apple's going to buy Warner Brothers in the next year, then maybe that's why.
Yeah.
So interesting though that's going to be on Apple Plus. And what did you think, Long, in the trailer?
It looked good. It had a lot of potential. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how Monarch as a organization works.
Yeah. And it's right around the corner. It comes out in November, I believe, right before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like November 17th. So we mentioned on the show last week that between that, Godzilla -1, and Godzilla versus Kong next April, Long, you are going to be Godzilla overloaded for 6 months, buddy.
Yeah, I'm eating good.
Yeah, man, you're going to be eating good. You're going to be, dick's going to be plenty hard. You're going to be like, let's go, Godzilla.
Hell yeah.
Can I give you a hard time? Wait, that sounded very wrong. Saying I had to give you a hard time. Anyway, let's move on to the feature film.
Yes.
We go from one very mega popular franchise, talking Star Wars and Godzilla, both mega popular franchises, to another franchise that's been very popular. And, this movie had on the radar throughout the year because it's 10 years old. It's hard to believe. And finally found a spot to drop it in. And that is Star Trek Into Darkness. The sequel to the 2011 J.J. Abrams reboot, mega hit Star Trek reboot. And so we get the sequel a couple years later. And basically it's kind of a retelling in some ways of the classic Wrath of Khan, but not, which is weird. It's got similarities.
Like a mirror image kind of stuff on some of this stuff.
And but I think in a lot of ways that's why the movie works, because it's not like Benedict Cumberbatch definitely has his own version of Khan. I think his story is a little bit, in some ways, I think his story is a little stronger than Ricardo Montalban's Khan, because they give him a little bit more to work with, I think, but that's just product of the time too, 1982 compared to movies nowadays.
Probably the most whitewashed role I've ever heard of. That's for sure.
What?
Like Khan Noonien Singh. He's supposed to be a Sikh, right?
Yeah.
Sikhs
He's supposed to be a dictator. Yeah.
A Sikh, which is, an ethnicity in India.
Right.
that wears famous for their turbans and stuff, and then he's casted by a Latino, which is fine. And then now it's cast as a British guy, which is even so much further from Khan Noonien Singh's namesake and ethnicity.
And then I remember too, when this movie came out in 2013, how they tried so hard to hide who Benedict was playing through the trailers and through interviews and everything.
That was cringe.
But it was the worst kept secret ever. Everyone knew he was playing Khan.
Kept having him named Harrison.
Yeah.
Marking it as Harrison.
And J.J. Abrams went as far as hiding the scripts, keeping pages out of the scripts, everything he could to keep it a secret. they even played a prank on him on set. I can't remember who it was that claimed he lost the script, and J.J. Abrams was kind of freaking out and everything. And he's like, "What do you mean you lost the script?" He goes, "I lost it in the airport. It's on the internet." And it turned out it was just a joke, and they were just messing with J.J. Abrams. And the funny thing is that Steven Spielberg went along with the joke. He was in on it, messing with him.
That's funny. Like an episode of Punk'd.
Yeah, but basically, we didn't even summarize this movie. Matt, one of y'all want to take a shot?
I'll summarize since it's been a while. Basically, the Kirk and crew are assigned to hunt down John Harrison in the Klingon Empire, and many twists and turns come about from it, and John Harrison ends up being Khan, and basically he come to find out that the head of Starfleet has held John Harrison hostage because Harrison thought that his crew was dead, and he was forced to design a new type of starship for Starfleet because of his genetically superior intellect and physicality. But basically, it's Enterprise and crew trying to survive the schemes of Khan and trying to get out of a jam, basically. Bring him to justice.
Yeah. And turns out Peter Weller plays the admiral that is trying to hide his secrets of Khan's people and capturing them and all that. And every time I watch this, it just makes me I wish Peter Weller would get more movie roles, because he's, and I know it's not just because he's Buckaroo Banzai and all that, but he's just, man, the guy's got a presence. Like, Peter Weller
does, man.
Peter Weller's one of those actors, like, you feel like, why was his career not bigger? I mean, not that he didn't have a good career. He did RoboCop and Screamers and had a few science fiction hits. But it just feels
why didn't he play more military guys?
Yeah, it just feels like one of those guys that could have had a even bigger career than he did, because he's got a presence to him. He's got an authority, and he explodes on screen. He's really good.
Probably does a lot of theater, and he probably prefers doing theater than doing movies.
Possibly so,
honestly.
Yeah,
because
maybe so.
Because like in the movie setting, it's like, who wants to sit around all day and just act for a few minutes and then sit around all day, while in the theater, actor gets more response from an audience, and they do it the same play, multiple times a day, and that's how they get so good. That's why Peter Weller's so good. He got his reps from doing a lot of theater work in between his movie gigs. So
yeah, and it also makes me just miss the fact that we didn't get Blomkamp's RoboCop Returns with him in it. That would have been so awesome. But man, this movie, I really enjoyed this movie. Like, I like both of Abrams' Trek movies, and I've gone on record before saying that, and maybe this is a little blasphemy, as big of a Star Wars fan I am, and I love Force Awakens, that his first Star Trek movie is actually a better movie than Force Awakens. I mean, it's really solid. Now, Into the Darkness isn't as good, but really Into the Darkness, I think, it's really good. What bothers me is the last 30 minutes. It becomes pretty much a straightforward action film at the end as they flee towards Earth, as Harrison's trying to get back. And then, you have this reverse, you take the ending of Wrath of Khan and you reverse it, where Kirk sacrifices himself to save the ship instead of Spock. And it's almost borderline cheesy that they went that route. It's like, okay, you're doing the same thing that's already been done, but yet conveniently there's a way to save Kirk. And I think that's probably my biggest beef with this film. Even rewatching it this week, I'm like, man, these last 30 minutes, it's almost like they wrote themselves into a hole. How do we end this film?
I think what kind of took away from that Kirk's sacrifice is the whole Spock screaming Khan.
yeah, it comes across a little cheesy because we saw William Shatner do that in Wrath of Khan.
Yeah,
no, you're right. It's just like, okay, this is a little.
Yeah, if they had not done that, it would have been. I think the emotional landing would have stuck a lot better.
Yes,
Yeah.
Well,
I think the blood as the antidote was set up in the beginning purposefully so that they could,
And here's the thing, to go back to what Long was saying. So in Wrath of Khan, William Shatner's Captain Kirk, he's human. He shows his emotion that he's upset that Spock dies, his friend. But this Spock, we've only seen him for 3 hours at this point in 2.5 films. And to me, he's not at that emotional state yet that he would holler Khan. So it's a little kind of like almost out of character. You know? Because they're not quite to that friendship level yet, even though Spock had told him previously, hey, this guy's going to be your friend, and you got to remember that. So I thought that was, it's a little kind of dorky. But it's cool. And I like the hand-to-hand combat between Khan and Spock on the moving, ship thing or whatever it is. I thought that was kind of cool. So
there's really only Spock is the only one who can take him down.
Oh yeah.
And
with his Vulcan martial arts.
Well, no, I mean Vulcans are physiology. They are 3 times stronger than the human on average.
Okay.
Because of Vulcan has a higher gravity threshold, and that's because that's how Vulcans are very strong. So and I think guessing Khan is about twice the strength of an average human. Basically Olympian level type physiology. Physical.
He did squeeze RoboCop's head like a friggin' chew toy.
I know.
Yeah, that was.
And then he did that weird face when he made it, and he's like squinching his face together. Dude, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Cumberbatch's face looks weird when he talks, right?
Yeah.
There's this funny GIF of like someone like holding up a turkey leg in front of his face while he was talking. Like he looked like he was chewing, right? He looks like he's talking and chewing, and so it's like there's a GIF out there that's really funny, like someone holding up a turkey leg in front of his face while he was talking, monologuing.
That is funny.
Yeah,
he is good in the movie. The other issues with this one compared to part 1, I think, is there's a majorly repeated sequence. I think in the first one, you had the dive down to the platform. To destroy the platform that's just trying to destroy Vulcan. And in this one, you have a dive across space where Khan and Kirk are trying to break into the Admiral's ship. And it's cool, don't get me wrong, it's a badass sequence, but I'm like, it feels almost like the same thing. We're not, instead of diving on a platform, we're diving across space into a ship.
Yeah.
So I felt a little bit like, okay. There's some massive set pieces in this movie, especially at the beginning with the ship coming out of the water, and it feels like they went a little bit more for spectacle in this one, where the first one has a lot of spectacle, but also has a lot of really good story in it too.
Yeah.
But it's like definitely got a lot of lens flare too.
Yeah. It's like George Lucas says, and while doing the prequels, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah. But I mean, I like Into Darkness. It's a fun Star Trek movie. I like the Kelvin crew in general. I was always hoping we would get more with them, and
I hate the design of the Enterprise. Honestly, you could tell it was made by the same guy who designed Wall-E and the iPhone. Why? It looks so bulbous and looks so curvy. And I'm like,
guess I hadn't really noticed that.
Yeah, I think my current favorite Enterprise design is the Strange New Worlds Captain Pike's Enterprise. It's a nice blend of old and the movie series, the classic movie series.
Even a little Next Generation there, like the meeting room is almost right out of Next Generation ship.
Yeah,
you're right. It is a good combo of several Enterprises. And I think another thing with Into Darkness is like I felt the first film did a good job with the ensemble cast, introducing all these new versions of these characters, and Into Darkness
and developing their character.
Yeah, Into Darkness tries really hard to be a Spock Kirk movie, but everyone else is kind of thrown to the side for most of the film. Uhura's hardly in there. Their names are escaping. Sulu's hardly in there, so it just feels like it's not as ensemble-ish as the first one was.
But Admiral Marcus's daughter, is in there in her lingerie. So there's
and
that.
that took a lot of hit. There were two things in this movie that these old school 80-year-old Star Trek fans hated. It was the crushing of Admiral's head, because they said Roddenberry wouldn't have that kind of violence in his movies, and it was showing her, Alice Krige, in her underwear. It's like, all right, Trekkies, let's move into the modern times. Girls do wear underwear.
Well, and they were also ticked that she was like a peacekeeper. She was like She was more peace minded, like an explorer, in the Roddenberry films, and then now she's like a weapons analyst or a weapons scientist.
She was a scientist in Wrath of Khan.
Right.
Yeah, but wasn't she like against?
Project.
Yeah.
For the Genesis,
it was more
project
that reanimated Spot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's even a nurse. There's even a Nurse Chapel name drop in this movie. Of course, Nurse Chapel is in Strange New Worlds, and I believe was a character in the original series too.
Yeah,
if I remember right. And so there's some callbacks, and that when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's just like when J.J. Tolkien fans complain about modern Lord of the Rings stuff, and I'm just like, it's okay to update things. I mean, Alex Krige came back and they said, even J.J. Abrams said, yeah, maybe it wasn't necessary to show her in her underwear, but it happened. It is what it is. It's okay to move things into modern times. I mean, you watch Picard and they've got Patrick Stewart dropping the F-bomb, I don't know if I've noticed any language in Strange New Worlds.
Well, dropping the F-bomb and gratuitous underwear shots are two different things.
It's a hardcore
you don't really put it on equal ground here, but and it's not a modern thing to do a panty shot, a bra panty shot for no reason whatsoever. It's kind of regressive, honestly,
right.
But even at that time, so yeah, it seemed unnecessary. Valid. So.
Yeah, but silly to complain about too.
Yeah, one critique that I've heard from hardcore Roddenberry fans is that, like, the Calvin crew, instead of having these drawn out conversations and scenes like in Wrath of Khan, where Shatner's Kirk had to outsmart Khan, and here it's like they're just running around with their arms flailing around, and he's not taking the route where he's trying to outsmart him and develop his character, where he has that about him where he
this could have been
tries to outsmart his enemy.
Cruise vehicle, I'm telling you.
Yeah, perfect Tom Cruise vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pike reminds me of Cruise a little bit. There we go. Maybe that's his Cruise-esque kind of thing. But really,
the
maybe
running part I was referring to.
Yeah, the running part where he's trying to run from his thoughts in his movies.
Running around the starship.
Yeah,
because Cruise gets paid for running in his movies.
Yeah. Oh, a lot, especially in Rogue Nation. Was that Rogue Nation with
he runs in all of his movies.
He runs in every one of them.
Yeah. This is true.
He even ran in through the airport in Dead Reckoning. So,
he ran in the court drama.
What's funny is, and Tom even Tom himself is in on the joke. He's made comments about it in interviews. He goes, "Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to run across some things." I mean, even he's in on it. He knows.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good.
I'm going to run.
He's a good sport about it. Y'all made me lose track. Star Trek Into Darkness. Overall, a good Trek film.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
Good callbacks, some good parallels with the classic films, and it is well performed. I think Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, they all do a really good job in their roles. Benedict Cumberbatch. I think Simon Pegg, out of all the supporting cast, Simon gets the most to do, and he's always great as Scotty.
Yeah,
I love the scene where after he chooses to step aside because he doesn't want those weapons on his ship, and he's sitting there in the bar and he's drunk, talking to his alien friend and basically talking to himself. I think Simon does so well with that scene. It's just really hilarious and really well done.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
He's like, I'll take that as an apology.
It's a really good Kirk movie as far as him just going through the as far as character growth. So
yeah. And
I like Star Trek Beyond for the reason of him being peak Kirk. He's not learning; he's in command, and he's put in a difficult position to try to get his crew to survive. And that's why a lot of people didn't like Star Trek Beyond because they felt like it repeated a lot of stuff. I mean, freaking Enterprise gets fucked up again, but
right,
yeah,
it's like every modern Kelvin Trek movie, the Enterprise has to get fucked over.
Yeah, I need to go back.
But that's
and
okay. It's an ugly
Beyond.
ship, so I don't mind. It's an ugly version of that ship, so it's all good. But yeah, that's why I like some pretty good callbacks too, and the next movie too. So.
Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch Beyond. But I remember I enjoyed it too. And
I like Beyond whenever they have to play music, and so they play Beastie Boys Sabotage, and then they're like classical music. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it does. I do hold out hope that maybe we'll get one more Kelvin Crew movie. I know some of it with the loss of Anton has made them a little, I think, timid about doing another one as well. But it'd be nice to see one more, just to give them maybe a proper send-off conclusion with that crew.
Yeah,
and I know Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto and Zoe Saldana, they're all willing to come back. I know some of it's been made about Chris Pine thinks he's a huge star now and wants more money, and maybe that's true. Yeah. But we'll see.
So which Spock do you like better, Quinto or Ethan Peck? Because I like Ethan Peck. He has that commanding voice.
He is very good in it. Yeah. I mean, I have about 2 episodes left in the first season, so I've only watched about 8 episodes with him in it.
Yeah.
But I do like him in the role. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was Gregory Peck's grandson.
Really?
Yeah. It's Gregory Peck's grandson.
Interesting.
So he comes from a family.
That explains the voice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do like him.
I like him even more because Gregory Peck is one of my favorite old classic Hollywood stars. Actually,
I haven't seen Peck, but I like Quinto whenever he's doing that smart ass Vulcan logic,
Yeah.
And whenever he, he's
watch. If you like that, watch Strange New Worlds. They do that with his version of Spock quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the trickiest thing about a good Vulcan actor, almost a pun, a good Vulcan character like T'Pol is definitely one of the best up there. Mm-hmm. It's like people misinterpret Vulcans as having no emotion, but no, that's not true. They have a ton of emotion, worse than humans, but they're always constantly trying to keep it under wraps. That's so hard to do. Trying to look like that they're always keeping their emotions in check. And T'Pol does it pretty good from Star Trek Enterprise. Spock did it. He's the master of it. He walks that line of having emotion, but not trying to show it.
Right.
And Ethan Peck and Zachary Quinto did a pretty good job of playing, that Vulcan struggle of keeping their emotions in check.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, there's different things I like about both the actors. But yeah, Peck's growing on me. I'm sorry. Yeah. The first couple episodes I wasn't sure about him, but then there's that episode where he is with his fiance and they switch bodies or switch their minds, and that's when he really started to grow on me in the role.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this guy's pretty good. So yeah, I'm enjoying. I've been enjoying Strange New Worlds, and I need to get back and finish that first season so I can move on to the second season. And so yeah. But Star Trek Into Darkness, if you need to get caught up, they're all available on. I think they're on Paramount Plus and HBO Max. For some reason, they're streaming on both services and Netflix. I think they're on Netflix too. Must not cost the companies very much for Star Trek, right? Since they're all streaming everywhere. Well, before we move on, next week's episode, and I said this last week. I actually did not even realize I did this, and when I was plotting down the movies, and that it turned out to be back-to-back J.J. Abrams films, and I didn't even do that on purpose. I just was writing films down, and I was like, "Oh, let's do this film. Let's do this film." I really kind of just randomly picked these movies to get us Halloween horrors, and so next week we're going to talk J.J. Abrams' coming-of-age film, his tribute to Steven Spielberg and Amblin Entertainment, and that is Super 8.
I've got nothing against your friends. I like your friends. Well, things have obviously changed for us.
I have to help Charles finish his movie.
Be good for you to spend some time with kids who don't run around with cameras and monster makeup.
Could you close your eyes, please? Yeah. And action! Guys, watch out! Run! Go! Go!
An eastbound freighter derailed. What the cargo was on that freighter, we don't know.
I can't tell anyone. I know.
I understand you have concerns about our cargo.
Colonel, there isn't anything else that I should know, is there?
I can assure you the answer is no.
We've gotten calls from people who found local dogs, but the calls coming in aren't local.
Lucy!
It's like they all just ran away.
I've got property damage. I've got theft. I've got 9 people missing now. There are things happening around here that I can't explain.
We have to find this thing. I don't feel good about this.
Go!
I saw it. No one believes me.
I believe you. What the hell?
I've already started rewatching this movie. I got about 45 minutes left because I wanted to get ahead because I have a busy weekend, and you know it's J.J. Abrams' only film he's done that's original property. That's not a franchise or something. And watching it this week just makes me want him to do more of those. And that's going to be my preview of it. I really like what he did with Super 8, and I really enjoy it. And I think J.J. Abrams is a very creative mind, and I'm hoping we get to see more creative things come from him besides doing franchises that already exist. So hopefully he has something else in it.
Or ruining franchises as he goes. as some people would like to.
Some people. But I'm not going to blame him for that. And so Super 8, Super 8 is available on Paramount Plus. If you want to watch along with us next week, and it's a really enjoyable, fun movie. So it should be fun to talk about next week. So, but until then, Long, thanks for coming and hanging out, man.
Thanks for the invite.
You're always welcome, man. You can always text.
Always welcome, man.
Yo, guys, what movie are you doing this week? Debbie Does Dallas. All right, I'm down. I'll be there. You know, always Long.
Debbie Does Dallas.
You're one of us, man. You don't need to keep that Asian sensibility and wait for an invite. You can come anytime you want. So don't worry.
Doors open.
That's right. You're not overstepping your bounds. No worries, my man. So, but Long's just like, whatever, Mark. Stop fucking talking. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep.
Right.
See, he just continues to give me the look. He's just like, people that are listening.
You're getting the look, dude.
Long is giving me this look.
No, I'm surfing Twitter on a different tab, but
it's burner account Twitter. We know what that is.
Yeah,
I don't need a burner account. All of my stuff is there. You know what I'm following on my stuff. I don't have a burner.
I have a burner.
My
account,
Steam account has so many porn games on there. It's not even funny, along with all the mainstream games. So. Like, whatever. I'm not going to create a new account for this.
But no, for real though, thanks for coming and hanging out with us, man. And for all you out there listening, the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. Follow us on our social medias and all that good stuff. And until next time, this has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
This is Long.
Remember, as always, just go there and do it.
Just go there.